You stopped questioning the world and started repeating what feels safe to believe. Safety is sedating you. Alan Watts, the philosopher who taught millions to awaken from conceptual sleep. The surface-level calm of familiar explanations is a kind of sleep, one that dulls both our anxiety and our capacity for wonder. In The Wisdom of Insecurity, he points to the paradox stinging at the heart of this comfort addiction. The more we struggle for life as pleasure, the more we are actually killing what we love. Pursuing pleasure as the main goal drains pleasure of its vitality. Grasping for certainty squeezes out whatever realness gives experience its color. We repeat dogmas to shield ourselves, but each repetition pulls us further from the pulse of lived reality. It's not security at all. It's a brittle shell, slowly shrinking the world inside us. Dig beneath the pursuit of comfort and safety, and something more primal emerges, a deep discomfort with openness. This thinker saw that our need for solid ground drives a cycle of denial. The unanswered question, the strange feeling, the possibility that everything might shift. We rush to cover these with a smooth story or inherited answer. Instead of growth, our minds form fences. Instead of curiosity, suspicion, and fatigue. Our fear isn't just fear of being wrong, it's a fear of being uncertain, of floating, disoriented, and exposed between meaning structures. He presses this nerve harder in the same book, in The Wisdom of Insecurity. The implication is not subtle. To remain uncertain is uncomfortable, but to remain certain is ridiculous. Pretending at complete knowledge is a kind of self-betrayal. It's as if we'd rather choose a boxed, airless certainty than risk the vertigo of honest doubt. And in doing so, we cut ourselves off from the living ambiguity that fertilizes the mind. That need to always be sure might feel powerful for a while, but it fossilizes us, draining experience of its unstated possibilities. There's a steep cost. Each time we default to the safe answer, we lose texture and nuance. Each time we recoil from uncertainty, our world grows flatter, less alive. It's not just philosophy, it's the architecture of a life half-lived, programmed responses, brittle convictions, a mind wound tight around a shrinking core. Underneath, the ability to marvel or adapt shrivels. He saw this as the central wound, an unwillingness to linger in unknowing, mistaking safety for truth. And it's here that the first veil drops, revealing both why we numb ourselves and what's lost in doing so. But the plot thickens. Staying numb is not a passive act. It's a habit reinforced each day, quietly. Automatic thinking soothes us, but only because it amputates the parts of experience that threaten our fragile coherence. The mind loves the dull reassurance of routines. Alarm rings, coffee brewed, screen scrolled, opinions repeated, blanket after blanket, muffling any flicker of freshness. There are moments you notice the faint hum of aliveness beneath all this, but it scares you, so you scroll further, work harder, answer with the first script that pops up. This thinker insisted that every act of shutting out uncertainty carves away at your fate. Your mind isn't gently numbed from outside, you're anesthetizing it, second by second, decision by reflexive decision. Here comes the price tag you never see. The more you flee ambiguity, the less present you become to your own life. Is routine comforting, or is it just blinding? He cautioned that we don't merely drift into numbness. We choose it in micro increments until our days become as predictable as clockwork. This compliance with the known anesthetizes not just pain, but also wonder. In The Art of Living, he doesn't mince words. Stop measuring days by degree of productivity and start experiencing them by degree of presence. Somewhere inside, this line lands like a punch to the gut. The secret mechanism isn't just intellectual laziness. It's a quiet terror of immediacy. When you automate your thoughts, you miss the world flickering at the edge of every moment. You become absent from the only place life ever happens, now. Here's the revelation no one warns you about. The numbed mind can't choose anything. It can only react. Do you want to wake up to your own life or keep borrowing someone else's repetitions? Here's the memorable line: absolute certainty is just a form of exquisite sleepwalking. This is the fracture point, the one that exposes how much you've traded for the illusion of control. You want comfort, but you crave aliveness, and the two are never finally compatible. Presence is messy, certainty is embalmed. You can't have both, not really. And every automatic answer is a brick in the wall between you and direct experience. How long can you stand it before something in you breaks through? That fracture isn't theoretical. It's the moment habits shatter and clarity rushes in. For some, it comes as a sudden panic in the silence between distractions. For others, it's the creeping dread of a life half-lived, measured in missed connections and colorless hours. In The Wisdom of Insecurity, this thinker drives the lesson deeper. No valid plans for the future can be made by those who have no capacity for living now. Suddenly, your obsession with order looks like a slow leak of vitality. Autopilot thinking is efficient, yes, but it's a junk efficiency, the kind that empties you out while pretending to keep you safe. The promise of routine turns into a cage when it starts to dull your senses. This is when most scramble to justify their inertia, blaming work, relationships, even personality. But the real culprit is fear. The core fear, that raw, unfiltered experience, will be too much to handle. Every shortcut your mind takes, every automatic thought, is driven by the urge to escape the messiness of the present. But what exactly are you escaping? Spontaneity, unpredictable connection, the possibility of true delight. Ironically, the price for this comfort is a creeping sense of unreality, a numbing so subtle you barely feel it happening. There's an abyss between merely functioning and actually living. The philosopher cracks it open. There are no valid plans, no genuine ground, unless you risk standing on the trembling earth of now. Think about the difference between responding and reacting. Reacting is what happens when numbness rules. You default to the same old scripts. Responding asks for presence, for curiosity, for actually seeing what's in front of you. Historical spiritual traditions, from Zen monasteries to Stoic journaling, all cut against the grain of automation. They force a return to attention, to deliberate choice. No script, no protection, just reality, unbuffered. The psychological cost of missing this is immense: anxiety without cause, a feeling of profound dislocation, haunting boredom you can't explain. In Tao, the Watercourse Way, the philosopher reveals the antidote. To have faith is to trust yourself to the water. This isn't about grand belief systems. It's about letting go of the internal autopilot, risking immersion in each fleeting moment. When you finally stop rehearsing life and start living it, every sense lights up. You return to the world, not as an observer, but as someone awake, vulnerable, and impossibly alive. Trust doesn't eliminate uncertainty. It transforms it into opportunity. That's the path back from numbness, and the only way presence becomes more than a passing wish. To truly live, we must embrace the trembling earth of now. This thinker invites us to risk presence over numbness. If this resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and comment below. What risks will you take to awaken your life?